Welcome back to OzQuest, where we let fate decide what part of Oz we're exploring today. Every episode I roll a full set of D&D dice, and whatever the numbers say, that's what we cover. So what will the dice reveal today? Are we heading back to the Emerald City, digging up lost Oz history, or maybe uncovering something truly bizarre? Oh, this is a fun one. Dorothy in the Land of Oz, or as it's sometimes called, Thanksgiving in the Land of Oz. Never heard of it? Well, you have now. Now, what exactly is Dorothy in the Land of Oz? Well, it's a 1980 animated Thanksgiving special that very few people remember, but once you see it, you'll never forget it. Yes, there is a talking mince pie in this, and yes, it's exactly as weird as it sounds. The story follows Dorothy, who returns to Oz in time for the Harvest Festival, but things go sideways when the evil Tyrone, the terrible toy tinkerer, who is basically the Grinch but for Thanksgiving, tries to steal all the magic feasts in Oz. This guy's entire villain arc is built on the idea that nobody else should have a good Thanksgiving. He is Thanksgiving Scrooge. But like in Ozzy and Gump, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's ease on up to the top. It's here we learn that Aunt Em, Uncle Henry, and Dorothy are going to be split up. Dorothy will be going to live with cousins, and Aunt Em and Uncle Henry are going to live in the old folks' home. Aunt Em is getting ready for a Thanksgiving feast when Dorothy spots someone getting away with the minced pie. It's the Wizard of Oz, who's created a new green turkey-shaped balloon in the hopes of renting it out for a Thanksgiving parade. The balloon slips away into the sky with Dorothy and Toto holding onto it, and they drift to Oz. Jack Pumpkinhead welcomes Dorothy to Oz, but there's a new threat haunting the land. Tyrone, the terrible toy tinkerer, who brings Dorothy's turkey balloon to life and plans to take over the Emerald City. Jack and Dorothy need to get to Tyrone's tower and stop him. They find that Dorothy's pie has come to life and calls itself UN Crust, a pie that uses a different accent every time it speaks, kind of like how Mombi's personalities change and return to Oz as she switches heads. Walking to the tower, Dorothy tells Jack Pumpkinhead about Thanksgiving, lauding the Pilgrim's pioneering spirit. Along the way, they run into more new friends: the Hungry Tiger, who turns out to be a vegetarian, and TikTok, the mechanical man. The green turkey picks up Dorothy and brings her to Tyrone. Dorothy scolds Tyrone for being a bad person and encourages him to use his powers to make toys for Christmas instead. A victorious Dorothy is brought to the Emerald City, where she meets Queen Ozma. Ozma rewards Dorothy by bringing her uncle and aunt to Oz forever, so they can have a Thanksgiving feast for all their Ozian friends. In my animated Oz headcanon, I place this show after the Cinar anime, being that Aunt Em and Uncle Henry moved to Oz, finally. I love that lesser-known characters from the Oz books, TikTok, Jack, and the Hungry Tiger, get the spotlight here, where Scarecrow, Tin Man, and the Lion make silent cameos a couple of times. This special included 3 songs: Oz Can Be, Beans in Your Button, and Christmas Toys and Oz. Dorothy in the Land of Oz was directed by Charles Swenson, known for producing and writing on Rugrats and Mike, Lou, and Og, and co-directed by Fred Wolf, who produced on animation juggernauts like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Box, and DuckTales. If you remember the Tootsie Pop commercial with the owl and the boy, Fred Wolf was responsible for that animation as well. It was written by Romeo Muller. He had a huge repertoire of holiday projects before this one. He worked on Rankin Bass projects like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, The Little Drummer Boy, Frosty the Snowman, and Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Thanks to Muller's teleplays, 5 other Rankin Bass productions did not neglect other legal holidays. Here Comes Peter Cottontail, Rudolph's Shiny New Year, and The Easter Bunny is Coming to Town left the Christmas spirit rest a little. These are some of the voices featured in the special. Dorothy was voiced by Misha Bond, who had done voice work for another Muller and Wolf project that same year in Puff the Magic Dragon in the Land of Living Lies. Sid Caesar voiced the Wizard of Oz, who is depicted here as a caricature of Caesar, including the mole on his cheek. He also voiced the minced meat pie. This was the perfect role for Caesar, as his parents ran a 24-hour luncheonette. Sid would help his parents by waiting on tables, and it was during this time that he learned to mimic many of the accents he would use throughout his long career. You hear him put this to use in this role, as he changes accents often, being a mincemeat pie. Robert Ridgely brought the villain Tyrone, the terrible toy tinkerer, to life. Now, my favorite depiction of TikTok is the one in Disney's Return to Oz. He also appears in this special as voiced by Joan Gerber. 80s kids will remember Gerber as Mrs. Beakley in DuckTales, as well as another robot, Irona in Hanna-Barbera's Richie Rich. Here are some fun facts about this weird little piece of Oz history. It was made by Marvel Animation. Yes, Marvel made this, so technically Dorothy is one step away from being in the MCU. It was meant to start a full Oz cartoon series. Unfortunately, this turkey flopped, so instead of a season of Thanksgiving-based Oz shenanigans, we just have this weird one-off special. So what do you think? Have you ever seen Dorothy in the Land of Oz? It's available on YouTube, time of recording. Now, before we go, there's one last rule to make, a teaser for next episode's topic. And next time on OzQuest, we're covering... Ooh, that's gonna be a fun one. Make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment about the weirdest Oz thing you've ever seen. And remember, every episode the dice decide. See you next time.